The Palestinian issue was created and sustained for many reasons. One of the main, the Muslim denial to accept any form of an Israeli state in historic Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. In this video, we will investigate whether Israel has the right for a state in historic Palestine, or the creation of Israel is in fact an occupation. So after World War I and the resolve of the Ottoman Empire, two peoples were claiming the same land, Arabs and Jews. Notice I didn't say Palestinians, because Palestinians is a term invented much later. What I mean by that, although the term Palestine was first appeared in the 5th century BC, when the ancient Greek historian Herodotus wrote of a district between Phoenicia and Egypt called Palestine, during the period of the British Mandate, the term Palestinian was also used to describe the Jewish community living in Palestine. The deliberate creation of the Palestinian people as a discrete entity in 1967 and the political group known as the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, in 1964 was for the political purpose of attacking the Jewish state. Till that point in time, nor was there any sense or mention of a Palestinian people or nation. The term Palestinian was always followed by a distinctive noun, Arab, i.e. Palestinian Arab. According to the Palestinian historian Mohammed Musli, during the entire 400 years period of the Ottoman rule, there was no political unit known as Palestine. This is the Ottoman Empire in World War I. Was there an autonomous state called Palestine? No, there wasn't. That's a simple historical fact. Was there a distinctive peoples with ethnic identity, Palestinian? No, there were Arabs and Jews living in Palestine, called Palestinian Arabs and Palestinian Jews. That's the simple truth. Does Israel occupy Palestine? No, because there wasn't a state called Palestine. It was the Ottoman Empire. Did the Ottoman Empire or any other Muslim caliphate give land back to indigenous people? No. In fact, many caliphates more often subjugate and even genocide peoples they conquer. So, a counter-distinction to the Ottoman Empire, or any Muslim caliphate for that matter, the Allies, after defeating the Ottoman Empire, gave lands back. Now let's see to whom they gave which land and compare. Remember, we have two peoples, Arabs and Jews. So, Arabs were given Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. Then we had the Palestine Mandate, which they gave 3/4 to Arabs. Now, the remaining 1/4 they divided in two and they gave half to Jews. So, the remaining 1/4 they divided in two and they gave the worst part to Jews, the white part, I mean. Was the UN fair to Arabs? The Ottomans lost an offensive war. If they wanted, they could have not given anything, as any caliphate ever gave anything in all human history. Instead, the UN gave many countries for Arab self-determination, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Syria, and more. The remaining Palestine Mandate, they gave 3/4 to Arabs, and the remaining 1/4 they divided in two and gave the good parts to Arabs.
When you have weak words, fumbling, pathetic, weak words from world leaders like Joe Biden saying that Israel has the right to defend itself. You are putting your own populations at danger, you foolish people, by saying that. Some fool now, some Muslim hyper-zealous fool will take your words and then contradistinct it, juxtapose it, contrast it, change it, analyze it in corroboration with they will compare it with the words of Joe Biden. And what that narrative does, that political narrative, it gives complete currency to the terroristic position, the radical Muslim position.
The irony is that Mohammed Hijab's uncompromising discord or narrative for the Palestinian issue is the reason this conflict cannot be resolved. Mohammed Hijab and other Islamists like him promulgate the narrative that the only acceptable solution for the Palestinian issue is essentially the dismantle or genocide of Israel, and therefore condemning any chance for Palestinian self-determination. The idea that Israel should be genocide completely and no compromise with Israel will be ever accepted, this supremacist Islamist mindset started the Palestinian issue with a war in 1948 and boycotted any chance for fruitful negotiations and compromise after. You see, Islamists like Mohammed Hijab instrumentalize Palestinian suffering to promote Islamic supremacy. But why you have this uncompromising argument without any nuances? Exactly because you don't care about Palestinian suffering. Who cares whether this conflict persists another 100 years? Who cares? It's not you that is suffering, the Palestinians are suffering. In fact, the more this conflict persists, you get to masturbate, Mohammed Hijab, showing how good Muslim you are, how strong you are. Your YouTube channel grows. Isn't that right, Mohammed Hijab? Who cares about Palestinian suffering? Islamic supremacy we care about. This is an illustration of what is going on. Islam is the plant. The water nurturing the plant are Palestinian tears. It's about Islamic supremacy. It's not about Palestinians. That's simple. Palestinians are just some more martyrs in the cause of Islam. Simple as that. The reason this issue persists is because you have a country negotiating with Islamists. That's the reason. So you have a healthy party negotiating with deluded cultists. Simple as that. Okay. The same way nothing is ever solved when it relates to Islam, the same way this issue still persists. The same way Afghanistan, although USA spent trillions to help this country, is still shit as we speak. Why? Because it's related with Islam. And as we know, everything Islam touches stays shit forever. But let's investigate how Islamists make the Palestinian issue to persist forever. How you make diplomacy or geopolitics? With two ways, with a carrot or a stick. But first of all, you need to set the objective. Islamists will claim that the objective is Palestinian ethnic self-determination and Palestinian well-being. Complete bullshit. The real objective is Islamic supremacy, and they are willing to martyr, to sacrifice every single man, woman, or child in Palestine to achieve that. So, if you don't even have an objective, how you will achieve this objective?
As Muslims, brothers and sisters, we have to be very clear with these principles. And we have got one aim, and one aim in mind only. That is the complete removal of the occupation and the removal of the Zionist entity. So I ask you, brothers and sisters, do we want to liberate Palestine? Do we want to remove the occupation? Inshallah. And the second thing, brothers and sisters, and may Allah reward all the brothers and sisters who are doing it out of sincerity. But today I am here as a Palestinian, and I want to show you something that is going to help us to move forward as an ummah. If we want to move forward as an ummah, the first thing that we need to do, brothers and sisters, is we need to take these flags, and we need to remember what these flags mean. We need to remember what they represent. And as a Palestinian, I'm telling you today, What we need to do is we need to take these flags and drop them. And this is the flag that we need to raise, my brothers and sisters. This is the flag that will unite us. This is the flag that will say we want to remove these borders. Those superficial borders that don't mean nothing. All they do is separate us. All they do is weaken us and disunite us.
With this mindset, not just you don't have the right objective, so you don't even have the objective to liberate Palestinians or to help Palestinians. In fact, the only objective you have is Islamic supremacy, the caliphate, and these kind of things. Not only that, but with this mindset, you eliminate completely the carrot. So you are only left with a stick. Okay, if your argument is that with a stick we will genocide a country, no, you won't, my friend. Simple as that. Were all the US presidents in favor of Israel? No, that's again a myth. Many US presidents were in favor of Palestine. Bill Clinton, I killed myself to give the Palestinians a state. Bill Clinton made it his presidency highlight or goal to solve this issue. He was totally hostile against the Jewish president. He was totally friendly with the Palestinian, Yasser Arafat. In this picture, he made the president of Israel to shake the hand of a terrorist. Imagine a guy that is killing your soldiers, is putting bombs in your buildings, in your buses, and imagine what pressure Clinton affected on the Israeli president that he's shaking his hand. Okay, imagine that. So, Bill Clinton, let's see what he said after those negotiations. Arafat didn't negotiate, he just kept saying no to everything. The true story of Camp David was that for the first time in the history of the conflict, the American president put on the table a proposal based on the UN Security Council, Resolution 242 and 338, very close to the Palestinian demands. And Arafat refused even to accept it as a basis for negotiations, walked out of the room and deliberately turned to terrorism. Bill Clinton spent 2 weeks giving Arafat everything. Everything. Okay, these negotiations was 100-0 to Arafat. He gave him like 98% of everything he asked. Yet, as Bill Clinton said, we spent 2 weeks and Arafat kept saying no to everything. Why Arafat did that? Why you think? Because he knew that if he compromised with a Jew, any part of Palestine, he would have been executed by other Islamists. The objective was never Palestinian self-determination and ethnic identity. This is a joke for Islamists. What ethnic identity? These people hate ethnic barriers. They think they are a global ummah. Okay, so the only thing they want is this issue to persist in order to have a leverage to keep attacking Israel and bring the caliphate. This is what they want. They don't care about ethnic identities, Palestinian well-being. They don't care about that. So, Palestinians, if you really want this issue to be resolved, because you are suffering, that's true. First thing you need to do, not now, yesterday. Not now, yesterday. Okay, the first thing you need to do is get rid of Islamists. Get rid of political Islam. In the Odyssey, in the story of Homer, Odysseus tried to go through 2 monsters, τη Σκύλα και τη Χάριβδη. Scylla was a monster with many heads, and the Harivdi was like it swallowed sheep. Let's imagine the sheep are Palestinians. On one side, they have Israeli nationalism, the one monster. The other monster on the left is political Islam. You can at least negotiate with Israeli nationalism in a human level. With political Islam, there is no negotiation. It will take you to the abyss. Okay, that's simple.
This is why Jews need a country.
Teraz mają więcej zbiciu.
This is the guy who goes to Jewish neighborhoods.
This is not Israel. You cannot come here and oppress us. You come here walking around. This is not Israel.
Oh my God! Look at them trying to intimidate the only Jew.
And walk here like a madman. You're a Zionist terrorist. You're a Zionist terrorist scum.
Ali ISIS getting excited.
Terrorist scum.
America funding you with weapons to kill our people.
Shut
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
Scum.
Shut the fuck up! This is a known fact.
You're a scum. You're a scum.
This is what's happened to
You're a
Britain.
scum.
A Jew, there's one Jew in the park. There's one Jew in the park. Look at
how many?
them.
You're not Jewish, you're Zionist.
With Joseph, you can negotiate. Okay, you can find a solution with a person, with a reasonable person. People like Ali Dawah is the abyss, is this thing. Okay, they are too dumb to ever do anything. The stupidity is the abyss, my dear Palestinians. First thing you need to do to solve this problem is get rid of Islamists. Not now, yesterday. You should have done this years ago. Okay, 50 years ago. Not now. Now it's might be too late, but it's never too late. But first thing you need to do is get rid of these morons. They will only take you to the abyss.
Now, if you talk about the entire Jordanian borders, it's just like that. The so-called entire state of Israel is under the attack of regular cannons, which are simple to make and simple to use. And they are beyond what is called the steel dome or with the Patriot missiles, because you are really shelling direct. It's not even something that you can intercept. What I am saying here is an army like in Jordan. I'm not talking about Turkey, the one that has F-15s and has all types of collaborations with the US and Russia. I'm not talking about Pakistan with a nuclear weapon. I'm not talking about even Egypt that has much larger army. I'm talking about a small country like Jordan. If Gaza resistance with few rockets, limited amount of explosives in them, maximum of 20 to 25 kilogram. Here you have a place where you can actually use much larger ammunitions, and you have the entire state of, excuse my talk, this entire state of Israel is under the attack of regular cannons. Now, in the first place, it would have been impossible to occupy these lands which were occupied by the Jewish state. Today, the people in the state of Israel, they don't have commitment to their own state.
If Muslims or Palestinians do what this deluded cultist buffoon suggests, that will be the end, not only of the Palestinian issue, but many Muslim countries around. It will be the end of those countries. Okay, that is the mindset of Islamists. They are complete morons. They live in their own virtual reality. You cannot trust these morons to find any solution. Their stupidity, the stupidity of Islamists, they should have been extinct centuries ago. Okay, the West sustains Islamists. Okay, their stupidity is suicidal. Okay, democracy and human rights sustain Islamists as we speak. Okay, so my message to Palestinian people, you want to become a country, to have self-determination, which is your right. Get rid of Islamists. Simple as that. And realize that the birthplace of Christianity and Judaism will not be Islamic. You need to realize that. The birthplace of Christianity and Judaism is not rightfully Islamic. Thank you very much.